2020. The year you want to forget because of how horrible it was, but will actually forget because you spent the first half getting day drunk and the other half crying in bed. My name is Chelsi Campbell, and this is the Eyeopener's 2020 COVID recap. January. While we were all distracted by World War III memes and dry koala bears, COVID was just lurking in the shadows like some guy you soft-blocked on Instagram. But on the 25th, Canada confirmed its first case of COVID-19. That very same day, Tommy Youngstein, the premier Bruce Springsteen cover band, performed at the Horseshoe Tavern. Dancing in the dark we truly were, totally unaware of the absolute insanity that was about to be unleashed upon us. February. COVID raced across the world like a white chick on a gap year. Italy, Germany, France, South Korea, and Thailand. I mean, the vid was popping up everywhere. March. Now, March is when the proverbial shit really hit the fan, which was unfortunate because toilet paper was being hoarded like some sort of post-apocalyptic currency. We hit 100 cases, and for a moment, COVID was looking like some well-connected socialite. NBA players were getting it. Freaking Tom Hanks got it. Even the wife of Prime Minister guy who's super sorry for all that racism got it. Then the lockdowns came. Schools were given an extra 2 weeks of March break. Ryerson said D's get degrees and implemented a credit/no credit option for the winter semester. As time went by, it became more and more apparent that COVID wasn't going away once you finished Tiger King. April. The first to break, unsurprisingly, were QAnon moms and Don't Tread on Me guys who gathered in Queen's Park to demand the right to kill as many grandmas as humanly possible. Rexdale's resident Timbit Doug Ford, angry to see his voters turn against him, said this:
99.9% of the people in this province are working together, side by side. That's the reason we were able to see a flattening of the curve. But then we have, a bunch of yahoos out in the front of Queen's Park sitting there protesting that the place isn't open.
Despite the best efforts of these bunch of yahoos, by May, the rate of new infection in Ontario began to decline. There was a fierce debate in Toronto after photos of a packed Trinity Bellwoods went viral. So the city decided to paint a bunch of mini crop circles in the grass and call it a day. Summer. Many individual events happened during the summer, but it all melded together into the general uneasy feeling of having the total freedom to do absolutely nothing. There were, of course, the Black Lives Matter protests, which were incredibly important and where people were careful to wear their masks. However, there were also the protests against the very idea of wearing a mask. If it ever comes out someday that those people were right and the masks don't make a difference, they'll really get the last laugh. Because while they were out there protesting in large groups, which definitely can spread COVID-19, the rest of us were being respectful of each other's health the best way we knew how at the time. Like sheep. September. Everyone was back to school and Ryerson students were back in action. Students, realizing their university education now had the production value of a 9-year-old's Twitch stream, petitioned Ryerson to lower their tuition fees for the fall semester. Responding to calls for lower tuition, Ryerson President Mohamed Lashemi made perhaps the worst prediction of 2020 when he said, "While we will be learning and teaching in a different way for the fall semester, academic curriculum and outcomes will remain the same." Not. To wrap the month up, the Campus Core Revitalization Project, also known as All That Ryerson Gold Street Construction, was completed on September 29th, clearing the pedestrian paths just in time for virtually no one to be there to walk on them. October. Canadian COVID hit another milestone in October. 200,000 cases. Quebec was doing some of the heavy lifting, making up 100,000 of them. The Yukon, who had managed to mostly avoid all this COVID stuff until now, had their first death on October 30th. All in all, the month was decidedly less spooky in a traditional sense. Kids weren't trick-or-treating, but Halloween candy sales were up by 8.6%, The most bizarre twist of the month was the nationwide realization that chess is actually kind of cool. November. Hey, remember in October when we hit 200,000 cases? Yeah, well, it's been a month and now we're at 300,000. By November 26th, we knew that Canada had purchased agreements with 7 different vaccine producers. Trudeau said the most Canadians should receive the vaccine by September 2021. Could be worse. Or better, of course. Careful not to let us have too much good news, though, because we found out on the 30th that our federal deficit is closing in on $400 billion this year. But on the bright side, I'm pretty sure that humankind will end before we're able to pay that back, so loophole. December. Now, COVID was cracking in over 400,000 cases. From the first man back in January to that guy you saw on the street wearing his mask like a hairnet for his beard. Then, on December 31st at 11:59 p.m., nothing really changed. We braved our fear of this pandemic to fight for justice, to care for others, and to just keep living. So Ryerson, as we face this new year, let's all try our best to be okay. To be okay for each other, to ourselves, and to the world. I'm Chelsi Campbell, and this is the Eyeopener's 2020 COVID Recap.